Now, he was one of the great minds of the 20th century. Sigmund Freud created an entirely new approach to understanding the human personality. He grew up in Austria, but spent the last year of his life living here in London, establishing a centre for psychoanalysis. Next month sees the republication of all his books. Wendy Hurrell has been to his former home in Hampstead, now the Freud Museum London, to meet his great-grandson, Lord David Freud.
20 Maresfield Gardens in northwest London, the home of Sigmund Freud for the last year of his life. Now the Freud Museum. The rooms are just as he left them, and in his study, the famous couch upon which he treat his patients.
Sigmund Freud is known as being the founder of psychoanalysis. He was the one, more than anybody else, who really delved into the power of the unconscious mind. And he made it his life's work and legacy. But that's not all he's famous for. He is also the inventor of the talking cure, if you like.
That was also a new thing, the idea that if you talk to someone who was neurotic or mad, you might get some results rather than just locking them up and treating them, quite violently often.
Freud would write at this desk, surrounded by his favourite antiquities.
He often compared the craft of the psychoanalyst to the work of the archaeologist. Both are engaged with chipping away, discovering, unearthing hidden truths and bringing them to the fore.
And it was here he completed his final books.
One of the reasons that he is so famous is that he was such a good writer. He writes really compellingly, and you pick up and you're dragged along as if you're reading a novel when you read his books.
Now Freud's complete works, the first written 140 years ago, have been republished, perhaps signalling a renewed interest in the man.
How much of a celebrity was he when he came to London?
I mean, he was an international figure. It was the news of the day when he arrived, and there was pictures everywhere. I think there were some crowds waiting to meet him as he came off the train.
The story of his escape from Nazi persecuted Austria following the so-called Anschluss in the spring of 1938, that had been widely reported in the press. So by the time he got to London in June of that year, everybody knew that he was on his way, everybody knew about his arrival.
Important people came to visit him here. Unclear whether that included the writer C.S. Lewis, though this is the basis of a fictional film out in June starring Anthony Hopkins.
What should I make of his running away at the sight of me?
Ah, well, he's also a fanatic about punctuality.
And this is the very couch from the film, a replica of the one downstairs here at the museum and acquired by Sigmund Freud's great-grandson David. This film is yet another to portray Freud on screen, and of course his theories have influenced so many filmmakers, writers and artists. He remains an intriguing figure in popular culture.
Wendy Hurrell, BBC London.